Hi, so there's a part one to this video where I started making this massive mess really with loads of just paint, ink, collage, oil pastels and different things, and then Maisie started pulling out something in the garden, so I went out. So there's a part one to this video, and I'll put the link for the part one, stop it, in the description below. And now I'm going to carry on with this. I'm going to maybe just give myself 5 minutes. You're going to have to get out if you're starting that. Carry on, Maisie. And I put away all the pens because there's no point in having pens around when I've got paint that's wet on the paper. I can't use the pens. My original plan was to do something I think a bit tamer than this. I've been doing all these sketches in my bed, you know, the with pens and ink and very dainty kind of neat things. And I thought that might be what I do with these pink flowers, but sure, it's not a bit like that. Maisie, stop it. It's ending up a total mess, really, which is kind of feeling like fun, and it feels good. So I'm just going to carry on with it. You can't really see the still life, but I'll post a picture of the still life into the Facebook 30 Days of Art on your Facebook page. I'll post a picture so that you can give this a go yourself if you fancy it. Now, since you were gone there, I used some of this acrylic paint, Magic Fly. I just put it on with my finger. It's acrylic, and I found it in the studio. The other thing I found was this green acrylic as well that I thought might work for that. Maybe a little bit, just to add something else in there. It's really, oh gee, it's really cold in the studio, so everything's a bit hard and dry. Difficult to squeeze out, I thought. But actually it's not. Now, wouldn't it be great if I had something bristly that I could do a little print? What could I use for that, I wonder? I don't mean a toothbrush, I mean something that's got like, I don't know what I mean. Something that would have like a mop almost, but I don't have that, so I'm just going to use my fingers again. I mean, there might be something in one of Maisie's toys that might have a texture to it that would be the effect that I'm looking for those flowers there, you know. You could imagine printing something, maybe the actual flower itself even. I'll get one from back there and see if I could do that. If I was to actually dip the flower itself into it, what would happen? And make a few of those shapes. Feels quite fun anyway. There we are. And here's Midnight come to the window now, just to join in the mix. Stop it, Maisie. She wants to get her toys out. And they're stuck under her chair. She's got a chair over there with a box of toys underneath it. Okay, so that's that. Colours are looking quite similar, aren't they? Okay, I'm a bit more heartened by what I see on there than what I see down here for some reason. I'll put my clean scarf away. Now, what am I going to do now? I want to make a bit more sense of this. I'm continuing to bring in a little bit of order, hopefully. And I can't use pens because they're just going to ruin the pens. If I want to do any kind of line at all, it'll need to be oil pastel. So a line with the green oil pastel, maybe to describe those leaves that are over by the window. I'm using my non-dominant hand so as to make an organic kind of a line. And here as well, it's quite dark in between those bright yellowy green flowers. I'm going to use my dominant hand here. It's tricky to, I'm trying to describe the dark background as it comes up to meet the textured petals of those green flowers. I've just decided to use some black in the mix as well as the green there to really give a sense of the interior dark behind the flowers and the petal, behind the leaves and the flowers. There's a dark there at the rim. And then there would be a grey background. It's quite grey where the vase meets the background. Quite grey there. And it meets the those flowers again, and then it meets the petals of the gerbera, that grey. Yeah, I do kind of like the orange as well, so I'm not going to cover all the orange, but I'll use the blue ink that I got from the studio while I was on the break there. It was quite good to have that break and just regroup a small bit, because it was all a bit maybe wild beyond what I had imagined. I'm not sure. I don't want that flower to be clipped at the edge there, so turn that over and stick on this little lever underneath so that the flower can spill over. It can continue itself across there, and then maybe use some fluorescent pink to let it continue painting itself there a little bit. It's very bright fluorescent pink up there. I mean, this flower's in the shadow really, so it's not actually going to stay that bright. Just let it mix in. But it's fluid enough to transport the pigment across that bridge and let it expand into the piece of paper that's there. No, that stem is way out of line there. It needs to be flower rather than stem. I'm sure I might even use a bit of the chalk pastel, since I went to the trouble of getting them. But the chalk pastel over the oil pastel stem, it's not so happy. What would work there better, I think, would be another bit of this paper glued on to form that petal that's there, and then I'll just put a touch of the pink ink on it. There we have the petal covering the stem, just like that. Can't even really see, can you? I just put on that bit of paper there to cover the stem. Right, now what will happen next down there? I'll stick that leaf down, right. And I could bring in some of the grey background there too, where the background meets that leaf, so that we know that this is the same room, same painting as the grey that's down there. I got a bit of a fright the other day. I got a big bill in the post, overpayment of tax credits from a few years ago. I'm telling you that. I don't know why I'm telling you that. Just because it's true. And it's surprising how little it's affected me, because I just think, I'm just going to carry on doing what I'm doing. And I've managed always, you know, and it's not a big thing. It's not really a big thing. It just feels like maybe I'm sharing it because I've had too much coffee today and maybe a bit wired. And I am kind of heartened by how little it's affecting me and how trusting I feel around all of that stuff. But there seems to be something in following what it is that makes me feel alive, that it kind of looks after me too. Oh God, I'd say I maybe annoy you know, and I can imagine why too, because I feel like I annoy myself a little bit. But part of me is encouraged here because I feel like I can talk away, and I'd say maybe if you are still listening, that maybe you're not really taking in what I'm saying, because it's the same tone of voice the whole time. And the other thing is that maybe you just speed up to the end and just watch the last bit, like, and so I feel like nobody's really listening to me, so I can just vent. Oh, it's not yellow. I thought that was yellow. Here we go, yellow. Is that yellow? Kind of creamy yellow. That's okay. Yeah, I think it's actually working better than what I anticipated. That bit. So that colour is a good one for the light. And that flower there. Okay. I mean, I'll reinforce this bit as well, where the vase is probably. How am I going to do now, I wonder? I'll lift you back up a little bit so that you have a bit more of a vantage point of the whole thing. So I'm trying to decide, looking at the whole thing myself, what do I want to do next? I mean, this is an instance now where I would put some paper underneath that to stiffen it up. And I want to bring in the vase a bit more because it's coming across. It's a smaller shape. It comes across here more. So that's kind of the position the vase might be in. I think I can stick on some of this actually. Quite like this paper. Could work as a background, and it'll stiffen the amaretti paper up a little bit too. So I hope things are going well for you all. I've had a fairly relaxing Easter break. There's been something very pleasing and giving myself full permission to chill out. And the child in me has been enjoying that very much. And I think that's why all the colour started exploding out of me. Because I had given myself permission to rest, and the playfulness comes in then fairly swiftly. These are all theories, I don't know if that's true. But there seems to be something going on anyway when being colourful. Right. And I could do that stem again and reinstate the stem. Maybe I need to use some green as well. The blue is more for the petals, isn't it? The green can work as the stem there. Yeah, I mean, you would say there's very little fine tuning in this. Well, maybe there is fine tuning, but it's you might say it's quite a crude thing. I'm kind of liking it. I like this kind of play. Could maybe do something a bit more, bring a bit more clarity into the centre of the flower there maybe. Just to let us know there's a centre to it. The oil pastel will have more success, I think. This is a kind of a mauve greyish oil pastel I'm using here. Now the story with Lily is that she's got football training this evening. She's enthusiastic to go, but she did not sleep last night at all. She had been staying up later and later, going to bed later and later, and in the end decided to stay up all night so that she could sleep at a reasonable hour tonight. What happens when she does that? What happens is she falls asleep during the day. Like, she stays awake until the afternoon usually, and then falls asleep. It's been a bit of a pattern now. So what we've agreed is that she's going to have 3 hours sleep. So I'll wake her at 6. God help me. It's a job trying to wake her. And I know myself, like, I love sleep. And so does she. She's inherited that from me. But anyway, I'll wake her at 6, and then she's got training, football training at 6:45. So hopefully she'll manage it. Hopefully she'll take herself along, because she really loves it, and it's a great old social outing for them now that it's back up again, you know. She said, "Mum, there's no bitchiness whatsoever at football training." Like, as though it's an unusual thing. I don't know whether to feel heartened or not by that. Anyway, I'm delighted that she enjoys it, because it's a great, like last week it was raining mad and she was running around the pitch, no bother. I thought when I dropped her off that she'd be bedraggled when I picked her up, but she was delighted, full of joys when I came to pick her up then. It reminds me, I used to do ladies football when I was younger, and I remember we would be out in all weather. Kilburton in our black and amber. And why am I doing that? I should find it dark. It's more like a winey red flower that's on that vase, which I think, well, I suppose really the amaretti pattern is what's describing the flowers. So I suppose I could concern myself more with the darker red roses that might even be mixed with a bit of blue. And then to bring in some of the grey-green. A bit more grey than green. This one is green. That's fine. And the third thing I could do with the well, it's kind of looking like it, isn't it, somehow? I'm always amazed at how something that's so not like that ends up kind of looking like it. I think we bridge the gap, don't we, ourselves? We somehow make connections. Isn't it lovely to feel that we have a natural affinity with making connections? We have a natural talent as human beings for erring on the side of drawing similarities between ourselves and things, between things. And I would say between ourselves too, that we find, well, I certainly know in Ireland when my dad starts conversations off with people he's never met before, within a few minutes he'll have found some connection. He'll have found some way that they knew someone who knew someone else, or lived in the same townland as someone else, or there'll be some way of forging a bridge between him and the person that he's speaking to, even if they're from the other side of the world. Like, they'll find some way. And I think that's a lovely thing about my dad, and about Irish people in general. Like, they can seem to be fairly nosy, like you get 50 questions before you get your first cup of tea. There's a lot of questions asked, but it's actually a lovely thing. I used to love that, hearing the answers. And the kind of gentle way that the questions would be posed, as though they weren't being nosy, but just inquiring out of genuine concern. I don't know, there's a certain slant to the tone. What am I doing now here? I think I need a bit more grey coming in there to make the jug a little bit finer, narrower. And then this all to me looks like a big splurge. Of course, there's purple flowers in there that haven't even been identified yet. I wonder, will the purple work here now for that? Yeah, the purple oil pastel is actually managing to adhere itself. The chalk pastel, I should say. And is it going to work on there? It doesn't really work on the shiny magazine paper. I need to find another way of describing the purple up there. I think it's close enough to the ultramarine blue that I can use that ink to describe that flower. Nothing is moving fluidly for me, but it's all landing somewhere, and that makes it, to me, feel a bit convincing. It's okay, It doesn't seem like it has to be precise, this painting thing, but... And I guess there isn't a precision in the whole thing. Like, the whole thing is a bit of an explosion. The individual things are precisely beautiful, like, in their own right, but here what I've got, I think, is an impression of the whole thing. A bit something to explain a bit the life of the whole thing. So my friend Jim is the photographer that takes pictures of all my work and everything, and he's also, himself and his wife also do my newsletter, which they do a brilliant job of. And then what they're also doing now today is my accounts. And so I'm going to have a meeting with Jim later on and just finalise the bookkeeping in order that he can give the figures to the accountant. And that'll be great once that's done. Just going to fill in the gaps there. There's some nice bright white gaps in between the leaves back here, where the light is falling from the window, and light falling on the leaf itself there. And then there's some, it's kind of greyish, really, of the curtain, so I could put a bit of grey into that now as well. I still kind of wish that I had a bit more pink. Something to describe the pink a little bit more. What have I got? Yeah, I'm a bit stuck for what am I looking for there. I suppose oil pastel would maybe work. I could always use a burnt sienna oil pastel for that area. Burnt sienna is not a bad colour to describe the centre of that flower there. I could use it a bit here too, sure. When it's mixed with the pink ink, it'll read a bit more as, oh, there's collage there. I've forgotten about the collage there. it'll read more as the pink rather than burnt sienna alone. And then in the very centre there's a characteristic dark little touch, very black in the very centre, that lets us know, okay, this is the centre of the flower. And the same here, smaller one here, and then over here too. There. And I think I could use something, maybe the blue ink to identify again some more of these slightly darker petals at the outside. Because when the darker ones are established, then the lighter ones will be visible too. If it's only all mid-tones and lights, maybe it can be a little bit disappointing sometimes, I think. It's good to establish the darks as well. And I wanted it to be a different dark from the black oil pastel in the background, so that we know that this is a different, that these flowers are in the foreground. They're drawn with a different quality of line. Battery's going on the iPad now, so I better say goodbye to you. I think I'm going to just stop there anyway. I know it's a bit of a mismatch, really. There's a bit more clarity there, a bit more clarity there, and there. And now I'm going to let you see it, and then I'm going to say goodbye to you. So that's it there. A little bit nuts, only a little bit. And there are the flowers. I'll take a photo, as I say now, of the flowers, and I'll put it on the 30 Days of Art with Anya Facebook page. If you'd like to join that, have a look at the links below. I'll put the Facebook page and the links below. Okay, so that's it. All a bit crazy and very fun to good, actually. Oh, a bit old for this. It's good to get your hands, stuck into the paint, and actually to make the marks with your fingers. Feels very good. Another thing that feels quite good, actually, speaking of fingers and marks, my sister was doing a meditation today on the element of earth, is today's one, and she said, go way outside now and touch the earth with your hands. Get down close to the ground, feel the earth, and the earth in the spring feels like it's almost breathing. I've got some in the bowl there, look, and you can smell it. Mine smells a bit like onion, because I think I had onion sets in the garden last year. But if you smell the earth and feel the warmth of it, like the springtime earth almost has a pulse, and so I would recommend that, the tactile, our hands. I'm going to put a link into the description below too of a beautiful talk my friend Morna Finnegan gave on hands and touch, and how there's so many sensors in our hands. Sensors are something like that, that the human hand has really got a lot of inbuilt wisdom that maybe we aren't so much tapping into these days, and we could have a tactile relationship with the world around us, particularly the elements. So there we are. Get yourself a little bowl of mud. My friend was saying that she made mud pies, and they used to even lick them when they were young. They used to eat the mud pies. So that's another thing you could try. Maybe not. I need to put a health and safety warning here. Okay, thanks very much for tuning in. If you're still there, well done to you. And take everything I say with a pinch of salt, because I kind of do myself as well, I don't really know what I'm going to say before coming on, so it's all a bit of a mismatch of stuff. But I love communicating with you, and thanks very much for tuning in. And this is Anya Divine, and there's a video every so often, so those of you here for the first time, thanks very much for joining me, and I'll maybe see you another day if you're not put off. Alright, all the best. Bye.